Hope we're good with the sound. Should be fine. Right. When I entered the art room, Mr. Amamiya was standing in the same place as last time. He was casually smoking a cigarette as usual. Mr. Amamiya?
ああ、日村君。
He smiled at me.
とうとう美術部に入ってくれる気になったのかな？
I'm not in the mood for small talk right now. Mr. Amamiya never seemed to be worried about anything at all. His nonchalant attitude irritated me. Do you know what happened to Yuko?
優子のこと？
He exhaled some smoke.
ああ、なかなか派手にやったらしいね。
Why are you still calm? Don't you think this is serious?
取り立てて騒ぐようなことじゃないよ。学校ではよくあることだろう。
Salute, Beatrice. How are you doing? Are you saying your own sister committing violence is none of your concern?
そうは言っても、女の子同士の喧嘩じゃないか。
According to what Shiichi was able to piece together, Yuko allegedly hit the student during the break. After 1B returned from first period gym class, she was involved in a dispute with some other girls. Then she suddenly slapped one of them. Yuko was the one who struck first.
ああ、聞いてるよ。それで相手も火がついちゃったらしいね。
It became a fight, or rather, a one-sided beating of Yuko. Since it was all hearsay, we couldn't positively confirm it. What's going to happen to her?
今日は帰らせたよ。突き飛ばされて背中を打ったくらいで大きな怪我はなかったけど、教室に戻らせるのもなんだしね。
So, she didn't get hurt. What a relief. Did she get any punishment?
ビンタを一発食らわせただけだから、謹慎とか停学とかはないと思うよ。せいぜい反省文を書かされるくらいで済むと思うよ。
I see. Everything seemed to be under control. But there was one more topic to discuss. Mr. Amamiya, did you know that Yuko was being bullied?
いじめ？
Mr. Amamiya shook his head a little.
ああ、なるほど。つまり、優子が殴ったのはいじめの犯人なのかな？
Yes, I'm sorry, Beatrice. It was either this or no stream at all, and I do not like no stream at all, so here we are. I'm sorry. I promised not to abuse this, but at the same time, I promise there was no way I could have pieced myself together to actually show my face tonight, so if you don't mind, I just like to chill in the darkness and read a little bit to you. Yeah. I nodded. That was the obvious conclusion.
これでもう疑問は何もないね。
Nothing else, but you're not going to ignore this, are you? Yuko made a mistake, but it's not like her to act this way. She wasn't like this when she was a child, and I didn't see her as a violent person at present. Both time frames were short, but I knew she wasn't a troublemaker. Something drastic must have happened for her to slap that girl. It's going to happen again if you keep ignoring it. You need to do something.
日村君、これは些細なことなんだよ。
Huh?
放っておけばいい。これは些細なことだし、優子自身の問題でしかない。
Thank you for the pet ads. They are much appreciated. Look, both bots are alive. Man, I swear, like I can bet anything on the fact that the moment I take one out and rely on a single one, it's not gonna work. But when they're both activated, like they're both doing the thing. And also the old bot seems to be the one posting first most of the time. Yes, it does. Oh well. We'll leave it for a couple more streams, see which one is Kevin. Unfortunately, it's just my voice tonight. Oh, really? Gee, how thoughtful of you. Sarcasm entered my speech without thinking. Even though she was adopted, she's still your sister.
妹だからだよ。
Ugh.
この程度のことで人の手を借りるような、そんな弱い子になってもらいたくないな。
That's just an excuse so you don't have to do anything. Yeah, exactly.
そうかもしれない。
Okay. How are you? I hope things are going alright with you.
だけど、一つだけ確かなことがある。
What?
君が怒るようなことではないということだ。
After school, Shiichi left class earlier. He said he had a meeting about his party. I wondered what exactly they were to discuss.
ユウ、帰らないのか？
Just getting by? Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. But it's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. Nagi approached me with a meek expression. There's some time before work. Normally, I would have already been studying at this time, but today I couldn't get into the mood. Final exams were looming too, so I couldn't afford to slack off. I should be heading to the library. Oof. Yeah, I understand. I understand what you mean. It's the worst. Fingers crossed that it's gonna pass soon. Fingers crossed. Take it easy and, baby steps. You gotta give your body time to do its thing.
では、僕も付き合っていいかな？
Are you on medication? Nagi was acting very suspicious. Yesterday she followed me home and spewed a bunch of nonsense. Now this.
悪いものを食べたくらいで僕の個性は揺るがない。
I suppose. In other words, Nagi's behavior was different because of something else. Or maybe there was no reason at all.
そういう君もあまり元気がないな。
I'm always like this.
無駄なエネルギーの消耗を抑えてるのかな？
Maybe, but it's not like I actively tried to hold back.
だけどユコちゃんのことでは怒ってる。エネルギーを使いまくってる。
She sounded like she was criticizing me.
最近のユウはおかしい。全然ユウらしくない。
Yeah, my heart kept sending mixed signals for anything involving Yuko. Sometimes it was so turbulent that I couldn't help but not stay reserved. It's always been like that, then and now. Whenever I looked into her beckoning eyes,
やっぱり僕はやめておこう。部活に出ることにするよ。
Suit yourself?
そういう言い方はちょっと傷つく。
Why? Nagi grunted and left the classroom, hiding none of her disapproval toward me. It seemed as though my whole life was turning upside down. Maybe it was just change, but I wondered for what purpose my heart was changing. For whom? I left the library at 6 p.m. Studying was impossible because I couldn't concentrate at all. My pace needed to pick up or else I would be in trouble. Well, I'll get it done somehow. I had been able to get things done up until now. It was only a matter of staying the course. I changed shoes and went outside. Exuberant cheers were coming from the field. It was probably some sporting event. That was what the school was like in the evening. School. Summer. I didn't hate either of them. There was this strange feeling in my chest, but it felt somewhat nice. The naive wish that every student had that summer would never end almost crossed my mind. What was that? Something definitely moved up there. As far as I knew, the number of people who had access up there was exactly one. That idiot. I clicked my tongue and then turned around towards the school. She stood at the edge of the fenceless roof. There wasn't a hint of surprise on her face as she saw me. Yuko.
はい、優子ですよ。
She acted playfully, like nothing was wrong. I thought you went home.
帰ったと見せかけて、実は屋上に潜んでいたのです。なかなかやるでしょう。
And just who were you trying to deceive?
敵を欺くにはまず味方からというじゃないですか。
And who's who?
少なくとも日村先輩は私の味方でしょ。
I'll have to get back to you on that.
優しいくせに。
Don't just say whatever you want. She was so incorrect that I had to turn away. If I really were kind, I would have done something for Yuko. A kind person would have done something about the bullying.
それにしても夕方だっていうのに蒸しますね。
Because you're wearing all that.
なるほど、鋭いご意見ですね。どうせ先輩しかいないし脱いじゃいましょう。上も下もパーッ
Hey, no, wait. I yelled at her as she was putting her hands on her uniform.
とダメなんですか？
Did you even have to ask? I couldn't tell if this brat was trying to tease me or if she was actually serious. Look, being out here for so long would obviously make you hot.
でも私暑いのは好きなんですよね。
Good. Stay up here for all I care.
あら、愛のないお言葉ですね。
Aww. Uh-huh.
先輩はどうです？夏は好きですか？
You don't care about what happened at all, do you?
何の話です？
Yuko looked curious. Hitting another student.
はあ、やっぱり先輩にも知られちゃいましたか。
You're not sorry about it at all.
うーん。
She wasn't aware she did something wrong. However, if the person she hit was the one bullying her, then she wouldn't have been the only one at fault.
実を言うと、
Yes?
私、人を叩いたのって生まれて初めてなんですよ。
Yuko stared closely at the small palm of her hand.
まだじんじんしびれてるみたい。
Her faint voice wasn't directed at me. Was her hand actually trembling?
結構痛いものなんですね。
All the more reason not to do it anymore, right?
さあ、どうでしょうか。
So, may I ask what happened? I asked in a voice so soft it surprised me.
体育から戻ってきたら私のカバンを探ってる人がいたんですよ。そしたらなんか急に頭に血が上っちゃって。
What an unexpected reply. If that resulted in a violent confrontation, it must have been a grievous matter to her.
まあ最近寝不足だったんでちょっとイライラしてたのかもしれませんね。
She smiled.
ごめんなさい先輩。
Why are you apologizing to me?
謝るに決まってるじゃないですか。
She silently stepped towards me.
好きな人に心配をかけちゃったんですから。
She looked at me without a hint of doubt, not allowing herself to believe anything else. Oh, this is ridiculous.
はい。
I don't get you at all. Did I leave that much of an impression on you at the orphanage? We hardly even know each other now. How could you even say something like that to me?
ずっと想像してたんです。
She squeezed my hands. Her warmth could be felt through her gloves.
あの日村優くんは今頃どんな男の人になってるんだろうなって。
Not what you expected, was it? Sorry for putting a damper on your delusions. Instead of becoming a successful artist, I focused on my schooling and left the past behind. You, Himura, grew up to be just another dull, inflexible human being. Or maybe that was always the
い
case.
いえ、あなたは 私が思ってた通りの人です。
Oh, and what did I become?
それは内緒です。
Why you?
いいじゃないですか。私は今でも日村先輩のことが好き。大切なのはそこだけですよ。
It amazed me how Yuko could speak her mind so frankly. Because of that, it felt impossible for me to distance myself from her. Damn it.
お、遅かったな。
Don't startle me like that. I suddenly heard Shuichi's voice from the shadow of the school gate.
とっくに図書室は閉まっただろうに。何してたんだよ。
None of your business.
この後バイトがある割にはのんびりだったな。
Got a problem with that? After retorting with an uncreative response, I took off at a quick pace.
日村。日村ってば。
What? I was speedwalking, but that didn't deter Shuichi from pursuing me.
俺はこれでもなかなか勘がいいんだよね。
Nice preface. Get to the point.
まあそう焦らずに俺の話を聞け。
He plopped his hand on my shoulder and smiled. I don't have time for
日
this.
村、お前は何を考えてる？
I don't understand.
正直なところを言おうか。俺は結構驚いてるんだよ。他人のことを気にする日村優っていうのがちょっと信じられない。
You think I'm trying to stay detached from everything? I'm just a normal student living a normal life.
だったら、凪のことだってもうちょっと考えてやればいいのに。
Nagi? What's she got to do with this? Instead of replying, Shuichi simply shrugged. Hey, I asked you a question.
じゃあ一つ質問。日村は優子ちゃんをどうする気だ？
It's not something I can say in one sentence. I carefully looked for the words. Let's see. Well, I just don't want to lose something again.
失いたくない。
I lost someone very important a long time ago, and I don't want to go through that again. Flashes of the past blurred by my vision. A red watch. That Christmas, also known as the Great Disaster. And my sister, whom I couldn't even protect. My subsequent disconnection from everyone else wasn't exactly atonement, but it was the least I could do. Aren't the roles a little bit reversed here, huh? Because in the present, let's say, Shuichi is the one who is disconnecting from the entire world, and it's Himura who's trying to pull him back a little bit. Interesting. Circularity. Still, I just can't leave her alone.
そっか。そりゃいい。
Satisfied, Shuichi slapped my back. Hey, quit it, that hurts.
いいじゃん。慣れ合えるのもあとちょっとなんだから。
That's not the point. In the end, Shuichi followed me all the way to work. He endlessly talked about unimportant things in order to cheer me up, but all it did was make me somber.
今もまだ手にしびれるような痛みが残っている。
We get some Yuko first person. Oh.
私はずっと知らずに来た。この世界にはこんな痛みも存在するということを。日村先輩、すごい顔してたな。私の行動がそんなに予想外だったんだろうか。案外あの人の中では私はまだ小さな女の子のままなのかもしれない。ゆうくんの後ろをついて歩くだけのおとなしい子のまま。思わず笑ってしまう。はい。ノックの音に。
優子、ちょっといいかな。
おかえりなさい、兄さん。
ただいま。
兄はにっこりと微笑んで私のそばまで来る。
優子、一応聞いておくけど、今日のことは。
私のカバンを探ってたんですよ。私は通学に使っているカバンを引き寄せる。 あれが入ってますからね。見られるのは構わないですけど、触られるのはちょっと。
なるほどね。なら今回のことは不問にしておこうか。だけど、あまり目立つことはしないでくれよ。俺にも一応立場というものがあるから。妹があまりおかしなことをやらかすとね。
あなたがそんなことを気にするんですか？兄は黙って肩をすくめた。多分、この人は私が学園で何をやっても気にも留めないだろう。断言してもいいが、兄は教師としての立場に全く執着していない。
優子、何を考えてた？
さあ、
日村優、やっぱり彼は違うようだね。
幼なじみですから。
その腕を彼にも見せたのか？
年中、長袖と手袋に包まれている腕に目を向ける。いいえ。そして、小さく首を振った。
断言してもいいが、彼が一番恐れていることは、君を見捨てることだと思うよ。
死んだ人に対して、償いなんてできないのに。
そう、とても愚かなことだ。彼は建前なんて考えずに、自分を救うことだけ考えるべきなんだよ。
日村先輩には無理でしょうね。
日村君にできることといえば、自分を責め続け、必要のない偽善を続けることだけだろ
私は肯定も否定もせず、カバンの中に手を入れた。取り出したのは、鈍く光る一本のナイフ。
う。毎日持ち歩いてるとは知らなかったよ。
お守りだって言ったのは、兄さんでしょ？もともとは、昔兄さんが趣味で木彫りの彫刻を作るのに使っていたもの。
これからどうするつもりだ、優子。
きっかけは作れたと思います。これからはどうするかではなく、どうなるかを見つめるだけ。
そうやって人は間違っていくんだよ。
私はもうとっくに間違えてしまってます。これから先もずっと間違ったまま。
そうか。そうだね。
兄は心底楽しそうに笑ってナイフを握る私の手にそっと触れてきた。手袋を通しているとはいえ、兄の手からはほとんど体温を感じない。日村先輩の手は暖かかったな。
Agnosticism. Okay. There was something I thought about from time to time. What did this city look like back then? The only memories I had were those of the rundown house in which I used to live. I couldn't remember the parks and alleys I ran around in until dark, nor the mall where I would always take my sister. The riveting view of the city presented itself through the clear afternoon air. Seeing the scenery each day temporarily washed away the images of the great disaster in my mind.
へえ、やっぱり上手じゃないですか。
Don't look! I slammed my sketchbook shut.
ああ、ケチですね。見せたって減るものじゃないでしょうに。
Yes, but your sentences would increase.
先輩は私と会話するのが嫌なんですか？
Your sentences would increase. What a way of saying it. Yuko frowned.
そうやって愛想がないからずっと彼女ができなかったんですよ。
That's none of your business.
まあ、今は私がいますしね。いた！
I tapped her on the head with my sketchbook.
もう、何するんですか？
She was delighted for some reason, contrary to what she said. Just shut up and fold some paper airplanes or something.
黙る前に、一つだけ質問がございます。
Fine.
どうしていきなり絵を描き始めたんです？
Her eyes were fixated on my sketchbook.
変じゃないですか？日村先輩は元からかなりおかしいですけど。
I'd like to hear what part of me is strange sometime. But does it really matter what I choose to do?
他の人ならいいですけど、先輩のことだから気になるんですよね。
She brought her body closer to mine. It didn't matter to her that she was letting her guard down again. She was so close that her sweet scent lingered around me, making me feel uneasy. Yuko, you and Nagi are very cute. I would have never learned that without you guiding me through the swamp of all the other unremarkable characters this novel is full of. Okay, so you're enjoying the story. I'm glad to hear that. Yuko is my favorite character, so... yeah, it feels great that you're enjoying this. Did I read this? Sorry, I get so distracted. Or like, when I'm tired and something distracts me, I just not forget actually. I just never commit things to memory. So I'm like, okay, did I read this before? I don't know. I'll read it again. She was so close that her sweet scent lingered around me, making me feel uneasy. Calm down. I couldn't start looking at her in that kind of manner. This is just something I do between studying to maintain my efficiency. I'm not so into it that I would want to enter the art club.
ちゃんと理由をつけるんですね。さすが優等生はアドリブも上手です。
Are you making fun of me?
いいえ、大好きです。
You keep saying that. Why?
先輩が最初から本気にしてないんですよ。
She had a response to everything I said. One thing I noticed about Yuko that changed from when she was younger was her ability to keep yakking.
ねえ、
What?
日村先輩。
What a weird word to choose about, you know, to use to refer to someone talking a lot. Yakking. It's kind of rude, isn't it? Yes.
絵を描くの楽しいですか？
I told you what it was for. If it weren't enjoyable, there would be no point to it.
じゃあもっと楽しくしましょうよ。
She showered me with a hearty smile.
私をモデルに描いてみませんか？
No.
わあ、
Wow. Her face. What was surprising about my answer?
断られたことより返答の速さに傷つきました。
That's life. Stay at home if you can't deal with it. Learned a new word? Yeah. I think they used it last time too. It's just yakking. Okay. Worried about something? Was she seriously thinking about locking herself inside her home?
いえいえ、先輩の意地悪と面相の悪どさは日々磨きがかかってくるなぁと思いまして、そのうち地球征服とかに乗り出しそうですね。
What? How did she come up with such an idea? Look, I never had any interest in drawing people. All I can draw are buildings and general backgrounds. It's not that I didn't want to use Yuko as a model. It was simply about knowing my strengths and weaknesses. Just leave me alone and don't get in the way, okay?
はーい。
Hi. She nodded reluctantly.
でも私することがないです。
You don't have to do anything.
チャイムが鳴るまでまだ20分くらいありますよね。
Oh, plenty of time for this then.
私ちょっと眠っていいですか？
Short on sleep again? You should try to not stay up so late. It's not funny. Exams are coming up, so you need all the rest you can get.
おやすみなさい。
Hey. Yuko leaned on me and quickly fell asleep. It seemed as though she never slept properly at home. There had to be a reason for it. You think, you genius? The classroom was noisy as usual. I walked towards my seat.
お、日村。
Shuichi, who was talking to several girls near the teacher's desk, saw me and came over.
おはよう。近頃はなんか遅刻ギリギリで来るな。
What's more surprising is that you're coming earlier.
ま、残り少ない学園生活を惜しむことにしたのだよ。
Oh, is that so? Good for you.
放課後、何人かでカラオケ行くんだけど、日村も来ないか？
Exams are coming up. What are you, an idiot? My time is precious.
残念だけど、日村が付き合い悪いのは今に始まったことじゃないか。
Better than playing around too much?
そうそう。遊び人の僕が日村くんに女の子との遊び方を伝授して差し上げよう。
There'd be no point.
あれ？
What?
日村って優子ちゃんと付き合ってるんじゃないの？
Of course I'm not.
最近毎朝屋上でデートしてるんだろ？
Dating on the roof. Wait, how do you know that? Other than Mr. Amamiya, no one knew about the roof. We didn't know what would happen if another teacher caught us up there.
なんでって優子ちゃんが教えてくれたから。
Ah. Why was she telling other people about us behind my back and calling it a date of all things? That's just a fabrication. All I did was talk to her for a bit so that she wouldn't start up anything. She scared off all the bullies with her so-called retaliation, but I had to make sure it wouldn't happen again. Yuko had reassured me.
日村先輩の顔が見られれば毎日頑張っていける気がするんです。
A little manipulation there, just a sprinkle. The feeling wasn't mutual. I just didn't want to see her do something stupid in the future.
ま、硬派な日村くんとしては女の子と会うには口実が必要だよな。
Well, Shuichi's not totally wrong there.
なあ日村よ。
Shuichi slapped my shoulder.
男の方がいつまでも態度をはっきりさせないなんてのは最悪だぞ。もっと思いやりを持つようにな。
Considerate? Have I ever been considerate to anyone? At the very least, I probably never was after that day. The bell rang.
話は変わるけど
Okay.
ここ 2,3 日ナギが来てないな。
Now that you mention it, skipping wasn't too unusual for her, but she always showed up for exam reviews. What was she up to? Well, it wasn't my problem. I took my books out of my bag and laid them on my desk. Huh? Not again. When I thought about it, I realized I hadn't been spending lunch alone lately. Actually, besides being at home, it seemed as though I was always with someone else. It hasn't been this way since I left the orphanage. Even though I was consciously trying to keep to myself, something always came up. I smirked and slowly opened the art room door. Hey.
You.
Nagi turned around in a jerky manner as though she were a marionette. I see you're wearing your uniform today.
一度注意されたからな。僕もそこまでバカじゃない。
Normally, people think of the consequences before they do anything. On that note, could you stop writing on my desk? Call me if you have to, but don't vandalize school property.
それもダメなのか？結構ユは口うるさいな。
No, it's just common sense. It was startling that Nagi wasn't aware of her own actions. I felt I had to tell her upfront about rectifying them.
そういえば、ユの顔を見たの久しぶりな気がする。
That's because you don't come to school?
なるほど、その通りだ。
This conversation was going nowhere.
実はな、絵が描けなくなったんだ。
What?
描けないんだ。それどころか、筆を持っただけで気持ち悪くて吐きそうになるんだ。
Her voice was unruffled, sounding no different than usual. Maybe she called me here because she wanted to tell me that. Don't they call that a slump?
そんなありきたりな言葉で定義できる現象じゃない。
How are you so sure?
そう言ってるんだ。
Who did?
絵描きとしての僕。このままでは一生絵が描けないかもしれないと言っている。何度も何度も繰り返し警告してくるんだ。
So, who's listening to it? Never mind the fact that Nagi was suffering from a split personality.
そうだな。女としての僕かな。
女としてのか。面白いですね。私は物音を立てないように気をつけて美術室の扉から離れる。
あれ、優子ちゃん。
はい優子ちゃんです。久世先輩はいつもの穏やかな笑みを浮かべて私のそばまで来た。
日村に会いに行ったんじゃないの？あいつ美術室にいなかった？
ええ、気が変わって引き返してきたんですよ。あまりベタベタすると怒りますからね、日村先輩は。
素直じゃないからね。
誰かに触れられることに慣れてないのかもしれません。
へえ。
感心したように久世先輩はうなった。別に感心されることじゃない。日村先輩はあれでなかなか分かりやすい人だから。久世先輩、
はいはい、なんでしょ
はいはい。
ナギさんと日村先輩って。
う。ナギと日村がどうかしたの？ああ、そっか。
久世先輩は心得たという顔をする。
ナギはさ、ずっと絵のことだけ。日村は勉強と生活のことだけ考えて今日まで来たんだ。君が考えてるようなことはないよ。
それを聞いて安心しました。先輩、ありがとうございました。私はにっこりと微笑む。
とは言ってもわからないけどね。男と女だから。
余計なことを付け足してくれますね。
君なら言われるまでもなく分かってるんじゃないかな。
さあ、私には恋愛のことなんてわかりませんよ。久世先輩みたいに経験豊富な方とは違いますから。
君も余計なことを言ってるよ。
私たちは笑顔を向け合う。久世先輩もかなり不思議な人だと思う。何もかも分かってるような、何も分かってないような。久世先輩、ものは相談なんですが。
はいよ。次は何かな？
援護射撃をお願いできます？理解できなくても構わない。この人は少なくとも私の敵ではないようだから。
I didn't need help from anybody. However, that didn't mean I had to make enemies. That creed was how I had avoided any unnecessary drama. That is, up until now.
日村先輩、冴えない顔ですね。
腹が減ってるんじゃないか？
いや、欲求不満かもしれない。いつも済ました顔してるくせに、実は相当溜まってると見た。
溜まってるって何がだ？
私が察するに何か良くないもののようですが。
Hey, are we here to talk or study? Yuko and Shuichi suddenly ambushed me in the hallway after school and asked me to study with them. I was too bewildered to outright refuse. We went to the library, then Nagi suddenly joined in. My inner pride was complaining very loudly. Why? What did I ever do to deserve this?
日村先輩、ブツブツ何か言ってますよ。
ブツブ
往生際が悪いんだよ、そいつは。
I said we're here to study. Besides, why are you here, Kuze? You don't need to take any exams, and what about your silly karaoke?
いやー、俺も恥ずかしくない程度の点数を取りたいしね。
Have it your way. I opened my notebook.
では、私は学年トップの日村先輩にご指導を願いたく。
Guide yourself.
愛も変わらぬ冷酷さですね。そう言わずに、私理数系がどうもダメなんですよ。
ならちょうどいい。ここにおわす日村優くんは 入学以来理数系科目の試験は失点ゼロという噂だよ。
それはちょっとすごすぎないですか？
I assure you it is. I'm still human. I make mistakes. Still, the number of errors I had made could be counted on one hand. Okay, I'll give anyone a hand if they need
言う
it.
にしては優しいな。
I glared at Nagi before she could say anything else.
先輩は優しい人だって私は信じてますよ。
I'm regretting this already. I figured I chose the wrong crowd to study with. It wouldn't be funny if my average dropped because of this.
先輩、この問題なんですけど。
I turned my eyes towards the textbook that Yuko held out. Hey, wait, this is a basic question. Just then...
静かに。
Huh? I knew we needed to be quiet in the library, but I didn't need Shuichi to tell me
聞
that.
こえないのか、日村。
Hear what? All of us were staring at Shuichi skeptically.
来るよ。
What's coming? Okay. Just as the words left my mouth, we felt a violent tremor. Piercing screams from our other students instantly filled in the library. An earthquake. I blurted out the obvious. Then I got myself under control in an instant. The first thing to do. Yuko. The library was in bedlam. Bedlam? What even is that word? Did I even read it right? I have no idea. However, for some reason, only Yuko Amamiya was undisturbed, showing no hint of emotion on her face. As though she were a corpse. Before I could do anything, the earthquake had already begun to regress.
結構長かったな。震度は4くらいか。
It was a short time after the tremor. The library was still unsettled over what had happened.
特に何か倒れたりもしてないね。一応、ちょっと奥の方も見てくるか。
Shuichi rose from his seat and went to the stacks. Maybe he couldn't stay still and needed to do something. I didn't blame
びっ
him.
くりしましたね。
What? You were calm through all of it? Almost eerily calm.
いえいえ、固まってただけで内心はビクビクですよ。やっぱり震災経験者はそうなっちゃいますよね。
Oh. It sounded like a lie, but I didn't have any particular reason to doubt her. Hey, Nagi, about the... Nagi was completely frozen. She wasn't responding.
ナギさん、かなりショックを受けてるみたいですね。
Yeah. She also lived through the great disaster, so it wasn't much of a surprise. Come on, snap out of it. I grabbed Nagi's slender shoulders and shook her lightly. She was acting as though her soul had escaped. Nagi?
大丈夫。
She finally said something. Okay, well, that just about ruined everything. I think we should just go home for now.
そうですね。残念ですけど、集中できそうにないかも。
Let's leave once Kuze comes back. You okay with that, Nagi? Nagi jerked her head forward mechanically. She definitely needed to go home and rest.
日村先輩、
Yuko suddenly formed a smile which was unsuitably calm given the situation.
ありがとうございます。
Say again?
真っ先に私の名前呼んでくれたじゃないですか。嬉しいな。本当に嬉しいですよ。名前を呼ばれただけでこんなに嬉しいなんて、私変でしょうか。
My heart is exploding with fuzziness right now. She's too cute. Like I'd know. Oh my god, you, the cold fish. I averted my eyes from her. What I did was something I wouldn't have normally done. Why was calling out to Yuko my first reaction? As the tremor was happening, I had forgotten about my own safety and worried about her. Yuko, Nagi, and I left school. Shuichi apparently had some matters to deal with, so he stayed behind.
日村先輩は今日もバイトあるんですか？
No, I have time off for exams. The manager at the restaurant kept talking about the duty of being a student. Not earning any income stung, but it would have been worse if my average dropped and my scholarship was terminated. You aren't going to ask me to be your tutor, I hope?
それもそうなんですけど。
日村君、
Oh man, I hate his voice. It has this kind of nauseating sweet quality to it. It's like, on the surface it sounds sweet, but underneath it there's this putrid, ugly thing. Ugh. Yuko and I turned around.
揃ってお帰りかい？
兄さんこそ早いですね。
My watch told me that it wasn't even 5 yet. I couldn't imagine someone in a professional position like him leaving at this time. Well, I guess Japanese schools are special. We would go to school at 7 or 8 in the morning and leave at 3. There was never a time when we had to stay up until 4 or something. Usually the schedule would be until 3. Sometimes if you started at 7 and only had like 7 classes when each lasted 1 hour, including the break, you would leave at 2. So 5 leaving school is kind of late for me, but you know, Japanese schools and their schedule.
いや、今日はちょっと用があってね。早退だ。
あれの関係ですか？
そう。それでちょっと広野先生のところへね。
Mr. Amamiya glanced at Nagi.
ちょうどいいから広野さん、一緒に行こうか。
Ugh.
嫌だ。
Flat out, no.
え？
僕は一人で帰る。誰もついてくるな。
Good girl. Nagi said that over her shoulder without looking at us and quickly walked away. I mean, I'm sure she's doing it for her own reasons, but yeah, don't be alone with that guy. No, it's safest not to.
日村君、何をやったの？
What? Why are you treating me like I'm some sort of criminal? This art teacher was too judgmental of people. She's still a little stunned from that earthquake.
あの程度の地震で広野さんがそれほど動じるとも思えないけど、とりあえず追いかけておくか。恩師の娘さんだからね。ちょっと心配だ。
Do whatever you want.
じゃあ優子、寄り道してもいいけど、夕食までには帰ってくるようにね。
はい、わかってますよ。
Mr. Amamiya chuckled.
休憩はいいけど、ご宿泊はダメだよ。
兄さん。
それじゃ。
Mr. Amamiya quickly left before either of us could respond. It's tough for you too, huh?
そりゃもう。
She sighed. Even the easygoing Yuko had trouble with her annoying brother. Since you're family, I guess you have to grin and bear it.
そうなんですよね。
Yuko lined up beside me. She was walking extra close as usual, but today I didn't feel like getting angry at her for that.
さて、言い方はともかく、兄さんの許可も出たので、寄り道していきませんか？
I'm not wasting my time off to have fun.
遊びじゃなくて、真剣な話ならいいですか？
No, that's no good either. I don't want to use my brain for nothing.
でも、付き合ってくれるんでしょ？
Yuko looked at me with loyal eyes and squeezed my hand. However, I couldn't bring myself to squeeze back. Doing so would have been an answer. The church was in a mysteriously tranquil state. Whenever I was in here, its atmosphere always calmed my senses. It wasn't really anything special, but I thought there would be some people in here. It's always empty.
二人きりになるにはいい場所ですよ。
Saying that here is blasphemous.
先輩は神様を信じてるんですか？
Does it look like I do? If God really existed, he sure isn't doing much. Some idiots are set for life because they lucked out, while the rest of us have to fight over what's left. Most never get the opportunity. I then realized that I was making small talk. Is this the serious conversation you were thinking of?
テーマはなかなか深いと思いますよ。でも、そんなに面白くないですね。
You were the one who brought it up. Yuko giggled quietly. What an innocent smile. But it was too innocent, which raised my suspicions. I can never tell what you're really thinking.
そんなの、私に限ったことじゃないですよ。誰だって、いくつも顔を持ってるんですから。
That was absolutely true. Everyone I knew had something they didn't want to reveal. Even Shuichi probably had many things he wanted to keep from us.
ナギさんは、
Nagi? Yes, she too was hiding something. She was the simplest person I knew, but there had to be more to her than what she displayed.
ナギさん、大丈夫でしょうか？
I don't think so. Her response was unexpected even from her.
ナギさんはね、女の人なんですよ。
Like that matters. There are plenty of men who were traumatized by the Great Disaster.
そういうことじゃありません。
Yuko shook her head.
ナギさんって綺麗ですよね。
Beautiful?
日村先輩もまさか否定はしないでしょ？
Well, I don't know. I hardly ever looked at Nagi as a member of the opposite sex. The incident in the art room was about the only time it happened.
目鼻は整ってるし、スタイルいいし、肌もすっごく綺麗で、性格もいかにも女の子って感じですからね。
Wait, that last bit sounded off. Nagi's personality was the number one reason why I never saw her as a girl. Nagi, yes.
いいえ、ナギさんは女性らしい人ですよ。ちょっと憧れちゃうくらい。
You're kidding, right? Yuko looked a little anxious. She stopped and fixed her eyes on me.
先輩、どうしてナギさんがショックを受けてたかわからないんですか？
The earthquake?
違いますよ、多分。
But nothing else happened in the library. That's what you think.
私にとって嬉しいことが、ナギさんには逆にショックなことだったんですよ。
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, of course, you're clueless and dense like all male protagonists in high school. They don't get it.
日村先輩は本当に困った人ですね。
She smiled.
変なところで鈍いというか、勉強のことにばかり頭を使ってるせいでしょうか。
You, another femininity expert. Yes, this was what I was just thinking. Like, yep, there it is, another one. At least he is more likable, right? Are you trying to make me angry? Still smiling, Yuko slowly shook her head. He probably doesn't understand these things because he just never
私はね、
he just never stops to think about them. Like he's all focused on like his studies, scholarship, and making ends meet, and that's kind of like his automatic routine of like just school, study, work, school, study, work, school, study, work. So he doesn't stop to pay attention to people around him and doesn't really get social cues like Jose always accuses him of, and so on. So it's in a way understandable. Outspoken, wild, reliable equals a dude. Yes, hi Clint.
ナギさんには負けたくないんです。
You two are competing against each other?
先輩、
Dense,
本当に
clueless
何も
one.
わからないんですね。
Yeah, he has zero clue.
分かってもらいたいと思う。だけど、思うだけじゃダメなんですよ。だから、私は
She suddenly stepped towards me.
私は 日村先輩になら見せられる。いいえ、あなたに見てもらいたいって思うんです。
Oh man. See what?
本当の私をです。
Something cold touched my lips. It was slightly moist and soft. Somehow it tasted sweet. Oh my god. Yuko?
あら、そんなに驚かなくてもいいじゃないですか。
I slowly ran my finger over my lips. There was no doubt that Yuko pressed her lips against mine for an instant. I didn't ask for that. Silly me is rooting for Nagi. Oh, I'm sorry. I can totally see why you like her. Totally see that. It's just, yeah.
意外と落ち着いてますね。
Sometimes things don't happen for people not because they don't deserve them, but because it is what it is. It's as simple as that. She's cool. I'm totally on the same page as you. She's really cool.
先輩、いつも私が近づいただけでびっくりしてたから、もっと驚くって思ってました。
Did you do that just so you could see my reaction? Kisses weren't something to make a fuss about. A kiss was simply two parts of two bodies connecting together. Oh my god. It wasn't much of a distraction in my opinion. I mean, you can already see just how far Hugh has gone from his teenager self to his current self, who is a much more like a deeper person who is much more in tune with the universe and an affinity for reading people and what they're thinking and what is happening with them. He is just absolutely clueless here. He has no sense of anything.
日村先輩は信じていなかったじゃないですか。
No faith in what?
私は先輩のこと好きなんですよ。言葉でも態度でも示してきたつもりなんですけど、先輩は。
I understood what she was trying to say. Yuko clearly opened her heart out to me. However, Akane. I kept being reminded of her. How should I have treated Yuko as a result of my past experiences?
先輩、
Yuko looked a little annoyed.
よく安っぽいドラマとかであるじゃないですか。誰かが死んでも生きてる人の心の中で生きていくとかって。
What was she talking about?
先輩もそうですね。死んだ人を自分の中で生かそうとしてる。そんなことしたって死んじゃった人はもう生き返らないのに。
Yuko bit her lip. I knew that. Akane would never come back, and there was no logic in associating her with Yuko. However, humans are illogical creatures. Being seized by my past was what defined me. I only realized it at that moment. Yuko and I left the church. I probably should have gone home, but for some reason I chose to stay with her.
やっぱりあれですね。受験の時に無理せずに学力に見合った学校に行かないと痛い目に遭いますね。
Maybe if you tried, you two could reach your true potential.
無理無理。私には無理ですよ。
Yuko wasn't exactly a quiet person, but today she just wouldn't stop chattering.
人には向き不向きがあるって言いますけど、勉強もスポーツもダメ、芸術なんか絶望的。そういう人って間違いなくたくさんいますよね。あ、考えてみれば私の周りって芸術系の人ばっかりですね。ナギさんに久世先輩に日村先輩。
Don't put me in that group. Mr. Amamiya is the one badgering me about it.
ああ、そうかそうか。肝心な人を忘れてました。
She smirked and lightly hit herself on the head. What was the meaning of all this? Her true feelings, the kiss. She was trying to push them aside with her torrent of sentences. It made no sense. Yuko,
はい。
what were you discussing with Mr. Amamiya?
ああ、大したことじゃないんですけど、兄さん、今年度いっぱいで音羽を辞めるかもしれないって。
So why is he going to Nagi's home?
兄さんに音羽を紹介してくれたのは、ナギさんのお父さん、ヒロノ先生なんですよ。
Right. If Mr. Amamiya was going to leave, he would at least see Mr. Hirono. Is he going to a different school?
いえ、よくは知りませんけど、
Yuko fell into silence for a moment.
教師そのものを辞めて、町の復興計画の一環に関わるとかなんとか。
That sounds sketchy. Ottawa's rejuvenation project was still in progress. It was an ambitious plan to redesign and rebuild the entire city. It wouldn't surprise me if it took over a decade to complete. What's he planning on doing?
さあ、私はそこまでは。兄さんは学生時代にデザインの仕事をやってたことがあるとか聞きましたけどね。
Design, huh? Nagi once told me that there were many art school graduates who went into design-related jobs.
日村先輩は向いてるかもしれませんね。デザインとか、街づくりとか。
Sorry. Huh? How come?
だって、街の絵を描くのが好きじゃないですか。
That's completely unrelated.
それになんか、デザイナーってかっこいいじゃないですか。
You were attracted to everything exotic as a child, weren't you? People rarely had the freedom to choose a profession for its cool factor. Drawing now was the same as back then, a hobby. Hobby. I said it like a hobbit, you know. I'm tired. Never once had I considered making it a job, nor would I ever.
向いてると思いますよ。本当に。私の勘ですけど。
Sorry. Your intuition. Don't suggest a career based on that. While I hadn't decided on my career yet, I wasn't about to base the decision on Yuko's intuition alone. I'll decide what to do on my own, okay?
自分のことは、そうですね。
She smiled.
先輩、もう一箇所だけ付き合ってもらえません？
For some reason, my eyes focused on her loose mouth. That's when I realized something. She was already past the age where she would have experienced her first crush. I suddenly had the urge to know more about Yuko, especially her life after leaving the orphanage until now. Slowly, lazy waves chiseled the sand. The evening sun was over the horizon, causing me to squint my eyes.
海に来たのなんて何年ぶりかな。
Yuko was deep in her
施
emotions.
設にいた頃、先生に連れられてきたことがありましたよね。
That was too long ago. I'm surprised you remember. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision by the teachers and not some special occasion. How I remembered that, I didn't know.
先輩は海水浴とかは？
Not interested in that sort of stuff. Kuze forced me to come here last year, though. It was probably that time of year again. At least I wouldn't have to worry about Shuichi kidnapping me this time around.
いいな。私も遊びたい。
Then just do it. Come here after exams are done.
それもいいですね。でも私はね。
She glanced at her arm. No matter the temperature, she always wore extra layers of clothing. Oh, sorry.
あら、日村先輩が謝ってる。
Hey, I'm trying to be nice. Don't tease me.
ごめんなさい。
I was being crass about whatever condition she had. What I said was tactless, even for me. Look, I didn't mean to bring it up.
先輩、見たくありませんか？
That again.
もちろん、私の秘密ですよ。
She gently brushed the sleeves of her clothes. Was that actually sweat on her hands? That was the sun's fault. I'm not in the habit of learning other people's secrets.
やっぱりわざわざ醜いものを見たくないですか？
Wait, that's not what I was implying. I'm just saying that you don't have to do anything unreasonable. She quietly giggled. I thought I saw a hint of regret in her eyes, but that was probably an illusion. Both of us were looking out towards the ocean. It felt good how the constant light breeze was cooling us.
私も先輩に同意しますよ。
Agree? About what?
神様なんてどこにもいないって。
Her long hair swayed in the wind.
神様がいないから悲しいことや辛いことがたくさんある。もしも神様がいるのならこの世界をもっときれいにしてほしい。辛いことなんて何もなくてみんなが優しくて誰も一人ぼっちにならなくて。
That will never happen. Not in this universe.
ええ、そうですね。そういう世界が欲しいって話ですから。
Oh. Yuko wanted a peaceful and harmonious world. I was once that naive. That's right. Long ago I wanted a perfect world, too. A world where people were together, always happy, never having to worry about hunger. I wanted my sister to experience that kind of life. My role was to pave that path for her. But life was never that perfect. It never would be. Yuko?
はい。
What was my role now? I wanted to ask Yuko if I could do anything to help her, but the words were stuck in my throat. She was hiding something. Something so heavy she would be overwhelmed by it one day. She wouldn't be wishing for a better world if she weren't. However, I wasn't God. No, it's nothing. As I feared, I almost used Yuko as a substitute for Akane. I had no right to treat her as an answer to my own problems.
変な人ですね。
Not as weird as you. I was ordinary. All I wanted was to protect those who were close to me. Each and every one of us have had utopian dreams like that at some point. Uncovering the truth. Hmm.
遠い日の夢を見た。初めて好きになった人とお別れした日。何も約束せず、お別れの言葉すら私は言えなくて、必死に涙をこらえていた私の前に、その人は現れた。
さあ、行こうか。
誰？その人はにっこりと微笑んで、私の手を握った。
あ、そうか。言い忘れていたね。俺が今日から君の兄になる雨宮明だ。
兄？お兄ちゃん。ずっと住んでたお部屋が燃えて、お母さんがどこかに行って、もう二度と戻ってこないって分かって、それから私は施設で一人の男の子と出会った。私にはずっと欲しいものがあった。私を一人にしない強くて優しいお兄ちゃん。その男の子をお兄ちゃんって呼びたかったけれど。
Would you rather date a painter, a mangaka, a novelist, a musician, or a filmmaker? Huh. I don't know. I feel like that's... I don't know if that's descriptive enough to choose a person, because I can imagine different kinds of personalities in each of those professions, so I don't know. I don't know, maybe a novelist, since I also have a thing for writing, even though I'm just an amateur. Maybe. But I wouldn't mind getting tips on painting either, because I enjoyed that too. So I don't know. Filmmaker maybe not, because then they would be away all the time. And mangaka, they would always just be stuck at their desk drawing with barely any breaks, almost being non-human. Mangaka is the worst. I don't know.
お兄ちゃんって呼んでもいいの？私は恐る恐るそう尋ねた。
At least from what I've seen, yeah, kinda.
男の子はお兄ちゃんって呼んだらいつも怒ったから。
もちろんそれでいいんだよ。
目の前に立っているのは大人の人で、お兄ちゃんと思うには年が離れすぎていたけど、私はその日から雨宮明の妹になった。頭がゆっくりと覚醒していく。ぼやけていた焦点が結ばれる。小さく息を吐き、私はベッドの上で体を起こした。
I love that little pillow on the floor. It's so cute.
頭を何度か振って眠気を追い払う。今日もあまり寝ていないので、なかなか思うようには頭が目覚めてくれない。学校に着くまでに少しはマシになってくれることを祈ろう。拳を握ったり開いたりして自分の体がちゃんと動くことを確認する。よし、大丈夫。確認。私は今日も生きている。一日の始まりの儀式は終えた。ベッドから降りる。まずは何よりも先に着替えだ。私は本気なのかもしれない。あの時、海であの人に投げた言葉は嘘でも冗談でもなかった。見せても構わないって本心からそう思う。そうじゃない。見てもらいたかったんだ。他の誰でもなく、日村優先輩に。
I choose a musician out of those options. Oh, that's interesting. Several days had passed since the tremor. Today was the final day of exams. Contemporary literature wasn't my best subject, but I wasn't terrible at it. I turned over the exam paper with 20 minutes remaining. All that was left was to review it with the remainder of the time. Phew. I let out a small sigh of relief. Final exams would be over after this. There were no more classes and summer vacation beckoned. Summer vacation. Huh. Yeah, right. I hadn't registered for summer school, but there was probably still time to sign up for a correspondence course. It was a good idea to get ahead, since I would have to familiarize myself with the material next year. A dry sound.
Oh.
Nagi was staring at her fallen pencil with her mouth open. Why wasn't she picking it up?
まあいいか。
It was almost inaudible, but I definitely heard her. She began to stare at the corner of the desk. What was she doing? Didn't she have another pencil? All I knew was that she was awful at contemporary literature. She couldn't have finished all the questions. Damn it. I scowled and picked up my eraser. I had to do something to get her attention and make her pick up her pencil.
ほっとけば。
Shuichi was blankly staring at the blackboard. Did he finish as well? But I couldn't just ignore Nagi. I answered Shuichi with my eyes, but
気分が悪いので美術室に行く。
she then left the classroom without waiting for the exam supervisor to respond. I was used to Nagi's odd behavior, but of all rooms, why the art room? The students behind me were talking loudly as I exited the classroom. Alright, that's cool. It's cool, Beatrice. Sorry. I didn't. Sorry. Oh man. Take a deep breath before you start sentences. Whew. It didn't take a genius to figure out where I was heading. Seriously though, going to the art room because of a headache or something was such a wild excuse. Nagi?
Yuka.
Nagi's expression didn't change. She didn't return to class after the exam period. It wasn't too much of a problem since only homeroom was scheduled, but I had to remind her of the party.
実は、ちょっと思いついたことがあるんだ。
Really?
ああ。君と僕の名前を合わせれば、ユーナギになるなって。
Aww. Don't bring that up now.
ユーナギっていうのは、海岸で夕方になって風が止むことだ。
Is that what you think about when you leave an exam?
他にすることがなかったんだ。
You really are dumb. I sighed. Are you over your slump?
スランプ？
You were whining about how you couldn't paint or something. Maybe I misheard?
ああ、そっか。忘れてた。僕は絵が描けなくなってたんだな。
Wait, okay. You're acting like it's not a problem.
原因は大体わかってるからな。
Then hurry up and fix it. You have no other skills to fall back on.
それだけが青春では寂しすぎるな。
What? Don't get all emotional. Nagi slowly shook her head.
そう。きっと寂しかったんだな、僕は。クゼはいなくなるし、ユウも僕から離れていく。きついな。きつい。
I'm not going anywhere.
分かってたことだが、君はど鈍いな。
Huh? Me, slow?
まあ、僕も人のことは言えない。自分の心さえ知らずにいたんだからな。物事の外側だけなぞるだけじゃ、見栄えの良さは出せても、本当の姿を描くことはできないんだよ。今頃気づくなんて、僕は愚か者だ。
You are a fool, but I didn't get what you just said.
君は何しに来たんだ？
Nagi smiled at me. The topic suddenly changed once again. Well, that's all right. It's better than listening to incomprehensible blather. I wanted to know how you did on your exam.
だいたい埋めてあったし、平均点くらいは取れる。そう思ったらどうでもよくなったんだ。
I see. Guess I didn't need to worry about that. Kuze's farewell party flyer. You got one, right?
ああ、あれか。そういえば今日だったか。
They're about to hold it in class now. Apparently Kuze is playing... Kuze is paying for all of it.
考えてみれば、クゼと一緒に食事をしたことなんて一度もないな。
Is that so? I had eaten outside with him a few times. It was all cheap food to match my budget.
ユウは学校で食事しないからな。
We're talking about me now?
クゼとはユウを通した付き合いだったってことだ。それも今気づいた。
Glad you're figuring it out. So, you coming? She forced a laugh, then shook her head.
今なら何かが書けるかもしれない。
Really?
そう、何かだ。いつだって何が書き上がるかは書いてみなければわからない。
So, you're staying here? She suddenly nodded. Her art was more important than some silly old party. Okay, later. As I waved my hand and turned around.
ユウ。
ん？
クゼに伝えてくれ。僕は本物の絵描きになる。本物の、みんなの心を震えさせるような絵を描いてみせる。だから、クゼも途中で諦めて帰ってきたりするなと。
You want me to tell him that straight up?
恥ずかしいから言うな。
Then what do you want? What a perplexing woman. But that was what made her Nagi. Perhaps that was the reason she was my friend. He's starting to get it, just a little bit. As I ascended the stairs, I noticed a figure at the top. Mr. Amamiya.
やあ、日村君。試験はどうだった？
A love triangle of a healthy person. Every angle is likable. Yes, yes, that's very true. Uneventful as usual.
ここのところ、優子がちょこちょこ迷惑をかけてたみたいだけど。
Relax, it's not as if she's lowering my average.
おお、やはり大したものだな、君は。
Well, that sounds like quite a conundrum, then. Mr. Amamiya chuckled and looked down at his chest.
おっと、ここじゃ吸えないんだった。
Feeling okay?
いけないいけない。やはり寝不足だと頭が回ってくれないね。
You always seem to be tired.
俺なんてまだまだ下っ端だからね。いろいろ雑用があるのさ。この後も別件の打ち合わせでお出かけしなくちゃいけないんだ。まったく昼寝もできやしない。
You slept at school?
た
Sorry,
ま
you
にこっ
sleep
そ
at
り
school?
と美術準備室とかでね。でも最近は忙しくてなかなかね。
That's only natural, it's work. I knew I was giving out indifferent responses, but I couldn't help it when it came to Mr. Amamiya.
君たちはいいよ。
Huh?
君たちはまだ何者でもないからね。これからの努力次第で本物にだって何にだってなれる。
I'll become a real artist. So, you were eavesdropping.
悪い悪い。美術室は俺の仕事場なんだよね、一応。ちょっと用があったんだが、君と広野さんが青春してたもんだから。
Adolescent chat. This man was not sorry at all. He did something I couldn't imagine from a teacher. Was it serious enough for me to report to someone?
心配しなくても全部聞いたわけじゃないから。
It's not that big of a deal.
そうだね。でも興味深い話だった。
I had no idea what Nagi was talking about.
そうなのか。
Mr. Amamiya's face was blank.
やはり君は。
What?
いや、日村君もこれからだってことさ。君は本物になるのかなって話。
Of course, I was going to be. Why else would I be slaving just to maintain my average?
ま、君がどうなるかは君次第だ。けど日村君は絵の道には進まないみたいだし、俺にはどうでもいいことかな。
Then we're done here. Shuichi would nag at me if I were late. I've got other things to do.
ああ、そうだ。俺も美術室によってそれからお出かけだ。
Mr. Amamiya started to leave, but stopped in his tracks.
日村君。
Yeah? What the... A chill just ran up my spine.
いや、なんでもない。今度こそ失礼するよ。
Mr. Amamiya turned on his heel and laughed. Just what was that? For a moment I definitely sensed an aura that resembled murderous intent. I never felt that before. If that description was too powerful, maybe it was simply hostility. Ugh. I wiped the sweat that broke out on my brow. It couldn't have been caused by the heat. What just happened? The faint stench of Mr. Amamiya's cigarette lingered from where he once stood.
日村先輩
Yuko jogged over to me.
何してたんです？遅いですよ。久世先輩もすっかりご立腹です。
Yuko had gone to the party ahead of me. Nagi isn't coming, sorry.
あら、久世先輩の言った通りですね。
He must understand people better than I thought.
さて、どうでしょう。私と日村先輩ほどの絆はないと断言しますけどね。
You can go home now, you know.
私が帰ったら、日村先輩は後悔しますよ。
What does that mean? Her smile seems to be a little arrogant. I quickly figured out why she smiled like that. When I opened the door to room 2D, I saw Shuichi by himself. You really couldn't get anyone?
まさか、そうじゃないよ。
Shuichi grinned.
最初っから俺が呼んだのは日村と凪。それに優子ちゃんだけだよ。
Hehehe. Ain't that something? What? Then what were those flyers all about? I thought your ex-girlfriends came up with the idea.
彼女たちとは一人ずつお別れしてきたよ。ひとまとめなんて失礼だろ。
That's true. So they had nothing to do with the party?
好きだった女の子とは二人きりがいいってだけさ。
In other words, this was all a trick.
日村、それ食べていいぞ。
On top of my desk were buns and sandwiches that looked store-bought.
すいません。ちょっとお腹空いてたので、私は先に食べてしまいました。
Yuko looked apologetic.
もちろん俺も一緒。優子ちゃんと差し向かいで飯が食えるなんて長生きはするもんだ。
Now you're some old geezer? I stared at Shuichi. Well, I don't need one. You know I don't eat lunch too much.
食えよ。演奏中に腹でも鳴らされるとあまりいい気分じゃないからな。
Gig? You mean... I stopped myself after seeing an instrument on top of Shuichi's desk. Is that your violin?
実を言うと、今から始まるのはお別れ会というより、久世修一の演奏会だったりするんだよ。
Hey, what exactly are you planning?
まだ日村には一度も聞かせてなかったろ。置き土産に披露してやろうって言うんだから。
あら、日村先輩のためだけに弾くみたいな言い方ですね。
おっと、ごめん。今日は我が親愛なる友人たちのために。
Shuichi made a pompous gesture.
この国で最後の、そして最高の演奏を送ろう。思い出が詰まったこの場所でね。
That was surprisingly sentimental.
そうかもしれないね。日村、本当に飯いらないの？
I shook my head.
優子ちゃん。
ええ。
Yuko declined the offer one last time.
それじゃ、そろそろ始めようか。
Hey, Infinity N! You came at the right time! People were discussing my album in the chat. Shuichi's face tightened up the moment he touched the violin. It was a face I had never seen until then. The face of Shuichi Kuze, the violinist. He tested the strings with his bow, making a remarkably clear sound. Did he need to tune the instrument?
久世先輩、いつもと全然違う。
Yuko was stunned by the transformation. I had to agree with her. Shuichi showed no trace of his easygoing self. He was real. The man standing in front of us was undoubtedly a real, genuine musician. Shuichi took a deep breath after he finished tuning. Then it started. My breathing was loud at first. I even sensed my heartbeat. But they soon faded into the background. Sounds which interfered with the violin's timbre gradually disappeared until there was nothing left but our consciousness. I want to hear his violin a little louder though. Configuration is what I want, yes. I want more of this, right? The music freed from within the 4 strings penetrated my body. It was classical, but I didn't know the name of the piece. That didn't matter. If I could entrust my heart to this beautiful, gentle, and sometimes intense performance. Someone was holding my hand. I didn't need to look down, I knew it was Yuko.
Senpai.
She was crying. Tears were pouring down from her eyes with no end in sight. Shuichi's performance continued. I softly squeezed Yuko's hand in return. Her tears had a reason behind them. Yuko said she wished for the world to be beautiful. This was something beautiful. There really existed a tune which was this beautiful, a piece that could crumble all walls and barriers. I didn't feel the world had abandoned me. Yuko probably thought the same. Her reaction to this piece showed her feelings better than anything else. It almost felt as though a faint ray of light from above was shining into the classroom. In turn, Shuichi's violin seemed to communicate to the rest of the school. I turned my head to the door. It opened and several female students entered. They were drawn in by the performance. It couldn't be helped. With this kind of mastery, anyone would want to be in the front row. Even Amaterasu, the sun goddess, would come out of hiding from the heavenly cave. Shuichi didn't lose his concentration as more people filed in.
ごめんなさい、先輩。私ちょっと。
Yuko suddenly stood up.
すぐに戻ってきますから。
She put her hand over her mouth and left the classroom. Yuko? The performance was over. There was silence for a few seconds after the final note. Shuichi sighed in relief. The applause which followed was overwhelming. I was also clapping. He deserved all of it as he showed us that the world, despite all its misgivings, still had hope. Oh, that was such a cool, heartwarming scene. My heart.
いやー参ったね本当に。
The audience in the classroom and out in the hallway had to be close to 50 people. Most of them likely dropped whatever they were doing once they heard Shuichi's violin. Wait, we need to put the music back in the lower volume. Okay, thank you, bye. You're back to normal?
バイオリニストモードは著しくエネルギーを消耗するからな。あまり長持ちしないんだよ。
Just how many years do you think it took Shuichi to practice to get to that level, though? Because listening to a musician's performance is also like reading a novelist's book. The musician has already practiced it over and over and over and perfected it. Just like a novelist would write and then edit and edit and edit and edit and edit until the words are in the exact perfect order to comprise what he had in mind. I think it's similar. It's obviously a different process, but it's somewhat similar. I like this song very much. His normal self was so pathetic. He must have felt quite a gap.
ま、これが俺にできる唯一のことだ。前から一度日村に聞かせたいとは思ってたからね。
Then why didn't you make me listen to it earlier? You had plenty of chances.
俺はお前をすごいと思ってるんだよ。
What? Wasn't he the great one? He was the one who drew in the crowd, not me.
冗談で言ってるんじゃない。お前はさ、なんかうまく言えないが強い。そう、よくわからんけど強い力を持ってる気がする。
That's absurdly vague. The strength to live is great. I remembered Yuko saying that. Just what part of me did Yuko and Shuichi see to make them feel that way?
万が一にもお前の前で無様な演奏はしたくなかったんだ。
I'm sure that would never happen. That was as sincere as I ever was to him. He was already recognized by his peers for his talent. They would have been happy with almost anything. But to aim higher, he was heading towards a place where the winds wouldn't be as warm and forgiving. It was regrettable, but that was life. For the first time, I was proud to have Shichikuze as a friend.
そう言ってもらえてほっとしてるよ、正直なところ。
What's with you? This isn't like you at all.
これで最後だからな。
What? There was something heavy in what he said.
俺は明日ドイツへ旅立つ。今日がこの国で過ごす最後の日だ。
Huh? I thought you were leaving after the closing ceremony.
それは嘘だ。
You weasel! How could you lie to me about that?
騙される方が悪いのさ。
You had no reason to trick me.
メリット？そりゃ楽しいからだよ。日村のそういう顔を見たかったんだ。俺が予定を20日近くも繰り上げて出発するって言ったら、さすがに日村も驚くだろ？
Why, you... Everything that came before this was all part of his master plan. I lugged around your stupid flyers for nothing.
世の中、くだらないことの方が楽しいもんなんだよ。お前はそれを知らなすぎだな。日村の事情は知ってるけどさ、少しはくだらないこととか無駄なこととかやったっていいだろう。一度だけの学園生活だ。楽しまなきゃ損だよ。
Don't give me that arrogant speech.
俺と遊んだり、ナギと買い物に行ったりして、少しは楽しかったろ？そういうことを嫌がらずにやってみろよ。
It's not that I hated it, but
少なくとも積極的じゃなかっただろ。
that was true. However, I didn't have the time or money to keep doing that.
ゆうこちゃんのこともそうだよ。
Yuko?
あの子もお前と同じだ。まるで何も楽しんじゃいない。
But she's always cheerful and smiling. Where did she go anyway? She said she'd come back.
そうかな。俺はいろんな女の子と付き合ってきたけど、ゆうこちゃんくらい辛そうにしてる子を見たことがないよ。
I think you brought this up earlier as well. Care to tell me why?
お前も感じてるかもしれないが、あの子は嘘っぽい。
A fake?
言葉も態度もどこか芝居がかったところがある。きっと俺なんか目じゃない嘘つきだよ。嘘をつくなとは言わない。だけど人生をもっと楽しめよ。俺もお前もこの町の人間ならみんな知っているだろう。人生ってのはいつ終わるかわからないってことを。
Yeah. The great disaster happened on Christmas. A crimson flame swallowed everything that wasn't already destroyed by the earthquake. That night was the night I learned that the world was a cruel and merciless place.
楽しいことをたくさんやれ。友達と遊べ。好きな女の子を大事にしろ。夢を見つけて必ず叶えろ。日村、お前にならきっとできるさ。
You really wanted to preach to me, didn't you?
おお、いかんいかん。いい若者が説教なんてしちゃいけないね。
Shuichi repeatedly hit himself on the head. He was an idiot. An idiot. But he had wisdom.
さて、俺は行くわ。明日の準備もしなくちゃいけないし。
Yeah, get out of here. We didn't need to shake each other's hand or even say goodbye. This was good enough for the both of us.
でもさ、お前とはどこかでまたひょっこり再会しそうな予感もするんだよな。
I didn't need to hear that. Shuichi laughed and picked up his violin case. Then his eyes lowered and his face became serious.
日村、
You still have something to say?
これは言わずにおこうかと思ったけど、やっぱり黙っておくのは目覚めが悪いな。
What is it?
優子ちゃんのことだよ。
Her again?
ああ、ちょっと。いや、かなり気になることがあるんだ。
Forgive me. I helped Shichi with some of his bags. We were the last ones to exit the classroom.
ああ、そうそう。俺、これからは多分世界を舞台に生きるから。もしかしたら、もうこの国に戻ってこないかも。
Well, we all know how that goes. Those were his last words before he left Ottawa Collegiate. I knew he would never return. He was chasing something that couldn't possibly be attained here. I had work in the evening. To make up for my requested time off for studying, I needed to be a workhorse. Getting there early would impress the management. Still, I didn't feel like doing it, but... Damn it, Shuichi.
What?
I heard a loud voice the instant I opened the door to the roof.
あれ？どうして驚かないんです？
Because that's what you expected.
鋼鉄のような精神力ですね。
She looked disappointed.
先輩がお迎えに来てくれるかなと思って、せっかくお待ちしてたのに。
You didn't have to greet me like that. What would she have done if I hadn't come up? Would she have glued herself to the door until dark? Whatever. Here.
あら、ありがとうございます。
I gave Yuko the bag she left in the classroom.
久世先輩は？
He already left.
そうですか。まだお礼も言ってなかったのに。
He doesn't need it. He only wanted us to be in the audience.
言いたいんですよ。それでも。
Then write him a letter or something.
手紙？
I quickly explained that Shuichi pulled a fast one on us. He was leaving the country tomorrow, so it would be best to not bother him for the rest of the day.
そうですか。久世先輩らしいといえば、らしいですね。
Yep. That's what it is. Yeah, he loves causing drama all the way to the end.
何もかも許せちゃいますよ。あの演奏を聴かされたら。
His talent has nothing to do with his attitude.
私はそうは思いません。あんな音色を出せる人なら、きっと心もまっすぐで、純粋なんだろうなって思いますよ。
You're kidding me. That description was several galaxies away from the ballpark. Still, it was difficult to deny it after he expressed himself to us.
本当に綺麗な、歪みがなくて澄み切った音でしたね。多分、久世先輩は周りの人たちに好かれて育ったんでしょうね。だから、あんな音が出せるんじゃないでしょうか。いえいえ、先輩に泣き顔を見られるのが恥ずかしくて。
A lie?
嘘です。
A faint, humid wind blew along the rooftop as the summer light rained down. Yuko sighed, then changed her expression.
あまりにも綺麗すぎて、私には聞いていられなかった。もしかすると、この世界にも価値があるのかもしれない。そんなことを考えてる自分が信じられなくて。
Why not? You should just accept what you feel. Be true to yourself. I took a step forward and grabbed Yuko's shoulder.
先輩？
Oh, hello. There we are. Our lips connected. A strong force pushed me away, causing me to lose my balance. I staggered back a few steps, then regained my composure.
先輩
Sorry.
いえ責めてるんじゃなくて
Yuko was flushed and speaking in a frail voice. The surprise attack was more effective than I expected.
そうですねこの間は私がしたんだからこれでおあいこですよね
I don't give a damn about being even. Things couldn't go on like this. I had to stop tiptoeing on the border and decide. Ah, there we go. Either I could completely avoid Yuko, who kept reminding me of Akane, or I could accept her and become involved with her. Yuko, what's the deal with you?
別に何も
You're lying.
もしかして先輩は私の言葉が何もかも嘘だと思ってるんじゃないですか
Yuko looked amused. I didn't feel the same way at all. You don't say what you want. You only hear what you want. If I ask you anything, you never give me a straight answer. You either keep silent or you beat around the bush.
それ全部私のことですか
What do you think this is? A soliloquy?
先輩おかしいですよいきなりキスしたりわけのわからないこと言ったり
I knew something happened to her during the time we were apart. I knew, but I couldn't do anything about it. It was too late to fix that. I'm going to ask you once more. Yuko didn't show her skin at all. She sat out during physical education because she feigned weakness, and she was always absent whenever it was measurement day. Her unchanging attire was the subject of much ridicule, but that wasn't the main reason for being cast out by her peers. I had Shuichi look into it. One of his ex-girlfriends, who was also in the same class as Yuko, gave him a clue. Sometimes, when you looked into Yuko's eyes, they gave you the shivers. I thought it was just a typical exaggerated description from a teenager, but Shuichi thought otherwise. Yuko, what is the matter with you?
何をですか
Don't repeat yourself. What I want is an answer.
傲慢ですね先輩
Yuko had no friends in class. Apart from Shuichi, Nagi, and I, she talked to no one.
優子ちゃんが友達も作らず分厚い冬服の向こうに心を隠している理由をお前は知ってやるべきだ
He saw it before me. I want to know. The enigma that was Yuko Amamiya hadn't changed from when I first saw her on the rooftop. A speech pattern that confused everyone. A heart that was never agitated even with treacherous bullying. An atheist, yet still yearning for a beautiful world. I mean, you don't have to be of a certain religion to wish for a beautiful world where people aren't jerks. The existence of Yuko Amamiya was unhinged. She was hiding something, somewhere.
本当に知りたいですか
Yes, tell me about you.
やっと言ってくれた
She smiled. I felt my heart skip a beat as she displayed her smile. What was this feeling?
あなたにそう言わせたかった私のことを知りたいってあなたに私を求めてほしかったんです
Yuko?
先輩の質問に答える前に一つだけ私の方から聞かせてください
Okay. I nodded.
施設にいた時ずっと私はあなたを追いかけてましたいつもあなたを見ていましたなのに
Tears streamed down her eyes.
どうして私のお兄ちゃんになってくれなかったの
My only sister was Akane. That was certain. However, I couldn't exactly say that in front of her while she was like
あ
this.
なたがお兄ちゃんになってくれていたら
Then, Yuko slowly put her hands on her uniform. Yuko. There was no time to stop her. Maybe I didn't want to.
私は綺麗なままでいられたかもしれない。
Sweat gathered on my clenched fists. Yuko revealed herself to me.
この醜くて汚い体を厚ぼったい冬服で隠す必要だってきっとなかった。
The scars that carved both of Yuko's arms couldn't have been from the great disaster. They were more recent. They resembled burn marks of a cigarette being stubbed on a table.
誰にも見せたくなかった。こんな汚いもの見せたらみんな離れていくから。結局は同じことですけどね。私はいつも一人。どんな時もどこにいても。
Her chest area featured a countless number of heartbreaking bruises. Marks like these could only have been made with a strong amount of force.
見せたら離れていく。見せたくないから誰かに触れられるのが怖くて孤独を選ぶ。結果は同じなんですよね。
Even though the tears on her cheeks hadn't dried yet, she was laughing. Stop laughing.
あれおかしくなりません？
I said stop.
本当におかしくないみたいですね。まあいいか。面白い話はまだまだありますから。
How did this happen?
その説明の前にちょっとお待ちを。さすがに裸のままではちょっと恥ずかしいですね。一応私もお年頃なので。
Yuko grinned. She was enjoying this situation. Why? My mind was strangely sober after everything she said. It normally took a lot to get me upset. However, even with my head working normally, I couldn't see the reason behind Yuko's smile, no matter how hard I looked.
すいませんでした。先輩がバイトあるってことをすっかり忘れてて。まあ、歩きながらでも話はできますよね。
Yuko walked in a jaunty manner. It was almost as though she forgot about the previous scene. Almost like a dream. Yuko.
はい。
It's Mr. Amamiya, isn't it?
他に回答者がいませんね。
She paused for a moment.
雨宮のおじさんは単身赴任中ですし、おばさんはずっと寝たきりで、しかもこの間入院してしまいました。私は友達も彼氏もいませんから、自動的に一人しか残りません。ちょっと調べればわかることですから、隠しても仕方ないですね。最初から隠すつもりもありませんでしたけど。
Sorry. I see. I clenched my fists. I clenched them to the point where my nails dug into my skin, but the pain was nothing.
言っておきますけど、兄さんはもう校内にはいないと思いますよ。午後から出張だって言ってましたから。
Mr. Amamiya did mention that to me earlier. Do you know where he's going?
それを聞いてどうするんです？
I'll decide after I see his face.
慌てないでくださいよ。最後まで私の話を聞いてからでもいいでしょ？それとも、これ以上聞くのが怖いんですか？
What was that you said? I glared at her. Even still, Yuko wasn't rattled one bit. Fine, I'll listen to the end. After that, I'll do things my way.
ええ、もちろん。
She showed me a surprisingly innocent smile and nodded.
今日もいい天気ですね。
Yuko seemed to be enjoying
こ
herself.
れからどんどん暑くなっていくんでしょうね。
It's summer. What did you expect?
先輩は夏は好きなんでしたっけ？
I don't hate it.
先輩らしい答えですね。
She giggled. Her mood was clear of any clouds. It was as though she had reverted into a child.
やっと話せると思うと、なんだか嬉しくなってきます。
What kept you?
秘密なんていつまでも抱えていられるものじゃないんですね。ずっと抱えていたらいつか重さに耐えられなくなって心が壊れてしまう。それとももう壊れてるから話せるのかもしれません。
Girls from Ottawa Collegiate passed us while we talked. They were wearing the summer uniform. Yuko would likely never have a chance to wear it.
何から話せばいいかな。話すことがありすぎて困っちゃいます。でも先輩、あまり時間はないんですよね。
Let's use the church. It'll be cooler in there. Maybe that will help. I took hold of Yuko's hand. Work didn't matter. Nothing else mattered. I had to listen to her story no matter how much I didn't want to. The air was definitely different in a place of worship. It was cooler for sure. The sweat that had gathered from our walk was quickly drying.
ここに来るとなんだか落ち着きますね。
Yuko released my hand. I'm sure they made this place with that in mind.
なるほど。神聖な場所ですからね。
She slowly advanced towards the altar. Once she was there, she stopped and smiled at me.
日村先輩、私は思うんですよ。
About what?
私は何を間違えたのかなって。どこで間違えたんでしょうね。実はずーっと考えてるんですけど、未だにそれがわからない。
Chances are, it wasn't your fault. I couldn't think any of this was her fault. She was a normal girl when I last saw her as a child.
だったら間違ってるのはこの世界そのものでしょうか。私にはわかりません。痛いとか苦しいとか、そういうことすらわからなくなってますから。
Yuko's expression was one that could freeze anyone in place. Her rationality was unbalanced to the point where only her juvenile demeanor was manifested. What kind of trauma caused her to be this way?
さて、それでは最初から話しましょうか。長くなりますけど、本当にいいんですか？
I nodded. It wouldn't have made any sense to not listen to her entire story.
雨宮の家に引き取られて、何年かは何事もなく私は暮らしてきました。
She paused for a moment, then continued.
おじさんは単身赴任で家を空けていて、おばさんは病気でいつも辛そうにしてて、兄さんはずっとお仕事。でも、一人ぼっちじゃなかった。兄さんは毎日ちゃんと家に帰ってきてくれましたから。嬉しかった。お帰りなさいって言えることが。
Before she adopted the Amamiya surname, Yuko had lived a life of solitude. Her mother had work every day and her father, well, who knows what happened to him.
兄さんはね、優しかったんです。いえ、少しずつ優しくなっていったっていうのが正しいかな。
Yeah, I know, right? It's not even the full story. Like, just wait.
たまにしかない休みに遊びに連れて行ってくれたり、勉強を見てくれたりもしました。まるで本当の兄弟みたいに。そうやって私との時間を少しずつ積み重ねていくうちに気づいたんでしょうね。
Aware of what?
私が兄さんの妹とは違うってことに。兄さんは私を震災で死んでしまった妹さんの代わりにしようとしてたんですね。妹さんと面影が似ていたのかもしれない。いえ、似ていなくてもあの人は私を妹だと思いたかったんでしょう。
This line of reasoning was the same as mine. Yuko became the symbol for what Akane should have been.
でも私は別の人間なんですよ。妹さんはどこにもいなくて、そばにいるのはただの他人。そのことに兄さんが気づいた時に、あの人は私を激しく憎んだ。
Why? Why was he furious at you?
そうですね。他に憎む相手がいなかったからでしょうか。
Then it was just an angry outburst?
八つ当たりですよ。あの人の心の中には激しい怒りがずっと渦巻いていましたから。探していたんですよ。憎しみを向ける相手を。そこに私が現れた。
I don't get it. He took out his hatred on you over something he couldn't control? That doesn't make any sense. Yuko suddenly cackled. Her voice echoed in all directions throughout the spacious church.
それは兄さんに聞いてくださいよ。深い理由なんて多分ないんでしょうけど。
She slowly traced something on her uniform. Her eyes and her overall expression became that of someone who was deranged. Why was she smiling at me like that?
最初はね、頬を叩かれたり、物を投げつけられたりするくらいでした。それだけじゃなくて、兄さんは手当てさえしてくれたんです。ごめんなって何度も謝りながら、自分でやっておいてって変な話ですけどね。その時はまだ私は兄さんを信じようとしてたのかもしれません。だから逃げようなんて思わなかった。
There was no tone of regret or self-derision. She was reciting the truth indifferently.
2年前のクリスマス、亡くなった妹さんと同じ年になった私を、あの人は。
So, it really happened.
私、クリスマスに初体験したんですよ。なかなか気が利いてるでしょう。あの日の暴力はいつもよりひどかったな。夜、兄さんが私の部屋に突然入ってきて、私、いつもより可愛い服装をしてたんですよ。だってクリスマスですからおしゃれくらいしたいですよね。
Yuko held the hem of her skirt and pulled it up a little.
まだ希望を持ってたのかもしれません。可愛い格好をして兄さんに褒めてもらいたかったのかな。だけどいつもみたいに殴られて転んでスカートがめくれて下着が見えちゃったんですよ。私も花も恥じらうってやつでスカートを戻そうとしたらその手をつかまれて。
I didn't want to hear it. I wanted her to stop. But it was too late for that now.
せっかくおしゃれしたのに服を剥ぎ取られて抵抗したらまた殴られて泣いてもやめてくれなくて犯されちゃいました。
My cowardice refused to show any emotion. If I showed her anything, everything I believed in and stood for, what I thought about Yuko, how I handled myself in life, all of it would have been shattered.
その夜のうちに何度も何度も犯されて体は傷だらけ、あそこは血と精液でドロドロになってたみたいです。たった一晩ですっかりお嫁に行けない体になっちゃいましたよ。男の人のことはあまりよく知らなかったんですけど、一晩に何回もできるものなんですね。ちなみに日村先輩はどうです？
As if I'd know.
まあ先輩は栄養状態悪そうですからね。
Huh? Who did she think she was talking to me like that?
兄さんはすごいですよ。もうそれからは毎日毎晩何回も私を犯しましたから。暴力の方もどんどんエスカレートしていって、 犯す前に殴って、犯してからまた殴って蹴って。タバコの火を押し付けられて、グリグリってされるのがまた効くんですよね。やった後で一服して、その火を私の体で消すんですよ。まるで灰皿で消すみたいに無造作に。当たり前のことみたいに。
A throbbing pain pulsed through my body. It was as though the pain from the scars Yuko bore was being transmitted to me.
でも、やっぱり犯されるのが一番きつかったですね。これでも私も女の子ですから、セックスに幻想くらい持ってたんですよ。初めては本当に好きな人にあげたかったし、抱かれるときは優しく、お姫様みたいに扱ってもらいたかった。
Yuko shrugged.
ところが、現実は夢見がちな少女の妄想なんて簡単に打ち砕いてしまうんですね。初めての時も、その後もずっと無理やり。私の意志なんてお構いなし。殴られて蹴られて、兄さんのものを舐めて加えさせられて、ありとあらゆる体位で何度も何度も犯されて、ちょっとでも嫌がったりしたらまた殴られて。夜が続く限り、私は解放されることはなかった。殴られるのは嫌だったから、自分から加えたり腰を振ったりして、少しでもあの人をいい気分にさせようとしたりとか。それはそれで逆に不愉快みたいで余計にひどい目に遭いましたけどね。あの時のお仕置きは答えたな。
She giggled.
最初のうちはいろんなことを考えましたよ。殴られたり犯されてる間、他にやることもなかったですからね。
Then she had a distant look in her eyes.
どうして殴られなきゃいけないんだろう。痛くて熱くて悲しくて。私は何か悪いことしたんだろうか。こんなことされなきゃいけないほどの何かを。考えても考えてもわからなくて、そのうち全部どうでもよくなってしまいました。抗うことすらできなくなって、私は流されるまま、壊れて消えてしまう日を待つだけになりました。
Her words hung within the thin atmosphere. The pain that Yuko experienced was being projected inside my mind. I didn't want to see them, but I saw image after image. They were incredibly vivid. I could also imagine the sounds and the screams. Is that everything?
いえいえ、話のネタはいくらでもありますよ。なんせ毎日やられてますから。生理中も関係なし。血みどろというか、スプラッタというか。夕べだってその前だって、毎晩、ほとんど眠ることもできなくて。もてあそばれて兄さんの怒りと性欲のはけ口にされて、なんか私って道具みたいですね。ただ殴られてやられるためだけの道具。
Yeah, I know. It's quite something. That's why I wanted to give a warning in advance a couple streams ago. I was past my limit. You are not a damn tool. My yell reverberated within the church. However, it was in vain as Yuko's expression didn't change.
日村先輩が何と言おうと、事実は変わりません。私は道具です。死んだ人の身代わりにもなれなかった。役立たずで、頑丈なことだけが取り柄のお人形。それが、あなたが知らなかった本当の私ですよ。
She formed a smile which portrayed no sadness. Shuichi was right. Yuko's attitude, her personality, most of them weren't real. To think I didn't notice until
そ
now.
ろそろ先輩のお顔が怖くなってきたので、これくらいにしておきましょうか。あ、やっぱりバイトは行った方がいいですよ。一度休むと癖になっちゃうんじゃないですか？
Why didn't you run away?
はい。
I'm asking you why you didn't run away.
逃げたに決まってるじゃないですか。
She muttered and her smile became dim.
初めて侵された日の朝に、怖くて怖くてたまらなくなって、気がついたら家を飛び出していました。行き先も確かめずに電車に乗って。でも、こんなことしても意味ないんだって、すぐに分かっちゃいました。
No logic, of course there was.
ありませんよ。だって、
Her body stiffened.
だって、行くところなんて、どこにも。
She clutched her own body and lowered her head. Yuko.
行くところなんてなかった。私の居場所なんて、どこにもない。
Her fingers, which were slightly shaking, pushed deeper into her arms. She was desperately trying to hold in the feelings which were about to come bursting out.
逃げ出したって、その先には、何もない。ないんですよ。
That's why you went back. Yuko was silent for a moment. Then she nodded.
もう、一人ぼっちにはなりたくなかった。
Her fear of solitude had tied her down to a fault. A bitter feeling emerged from the back of my throat. Yuko's father had left her, as well as myself.
何度も何度も逃げ出しました。でも、その度に現実に打ちのめされて、戻るしかありませんでした。私みたいなのが一人で生きていけるほど、世の中って甘くないんです。苦しみのない場所なんて存在しない。だったら、どこにも行きたくない。
Yuko wasn't an idiot. She probably thought of several solutions but came to the conclusion that the status quo was the least painful of them. I could understand that, but what about the school or the police? There's plenty of help out there.
学校、警察、何ですかそれは。何の関係もない人たちじゃないですか。そんな人たちに今みたいな話をしろって言うんですか。私、実は義理の兄に暴力振るわれてレイプされちゃってるんですよって言うんですか。冗談じゃありません。先輩だから話せるんですよ。他のどうでもいいような人たちに話せるわけないでしょ。痛いとか悲しいとかだけじゃない。私が経験してきたことはとても恥ずかしいことなんですよ。残酷なことを言わないでください、先輩。
Then I'll... She stepped forward. Her eyes were hollow-looking as though the light wasn't reflecting off them.
先輩、あなたは自由にさせてもらうって言ってましたよね。具体的にどうしてくれるんです？ あの人、兄さんを殺してくれますか？
I froze at that thought. Murder. Murder Mr. Amamiya. She let out a fiendish laugh and stepped past me.
先輩、
She spoke in a soft voice.
言っておきますけど、兄さんのところに乗り込んだりしてはダメですよ。聞いての通り、あの人はイカれてますから。あ、そうだ。私が逃げられなかったもう一つの理由、 ついでだからお教えしておきましょうか。
What is it?
私、何度も殴られたり蹴られたりしましたけど、一度だって顔を傷つけられたことないんですよ。どうやっても顔の傷だけは隠せませんからね。あの人もそれくらい分かってたんですよ。
You mean he planned it all along?
何かに駆り立てられるみたいに私を傷つけて、それでも頭のどこかは冷めてたんでしょうね。ただイカれてるだけじゃないんですよ。あの人の底の知れない冷酷さを知ったら、身動きすらできなくなりました。私はこの人からは逃げられない。逃げたらもっとひどいことになるって、心の底から思ったんですよ。
I couldn't believe what I heard. Mr. Amamiya had dominated Yuko for so long that she was fine with being his slave forever.
もし下手なことをしたら、先輩は殺されるかもしれませんよ。
Just what is he?
さあ。はっきりしているのは、兄さんはあなたを殺せますけど、あなたに兄さんは殺せないってことです。だって、先輩は優しいから。
Her words pierced my heart. I was a gentle person, which meant I was as good as useless.
だから、言ってはいけません。先輩は上を目指すんでしょ。ナギさんや他にも友達を作って楽しい学園生活を送って、茜さんの分まで生きなくちゃですよ。兄さんを殺すことも、私を受け入れることも、日村先輩にはできません。あなたは強い人だけど、できないことだってありますよ。
Yuko turned around and flashed one of her fake smiles.
大丈夫、殺されたりはしませんよ。そのつもりがあったらとっくにやってるでしょう。生きていくことだけはなんとかできますからご心配なく。ありがとうございました。
Yuko bowed.
では、私は帰ります。寝不足で頭痛いんですよ。
No, wait.
さよなら。
Her eyes froze me in place. Then she left. I wanted to chase her, but my legs wouldn't move. I could only stand there. A place to call home. Okay. Then it's also a great place to save. Ah. Yeah. All right. Oof. Yeah, that that was quite something. I knew it wouldn't be pretty once we got there. I wasn't sure just how ugly it would be, but apparently they even like at least it feels to me that they toned it down in the anime somewhat, or at least made it much less explicit. But yeah, that's what it is. That's what happened to Yuko. Good part is, once we got to the heavy, really, really bad stuff, the only way to go from here is up. So, very emotional, but good. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep our hopes up for the next parts, which I'm sure are gonna be really good as well. I'm actually quite curious just how much of the anime was original, how much was in here, or if we get like maybe a little insight into tidbits that were not covered. So I'm looking forward to it in a sense. Also, Yu is a good example of a protagonist that is somewhat dense, but when it matters, he is quite in tune with what's happening and how he should react. So it's very enjoyable from that point of view as well. Right, so about next week, as I was mentioning on Monday, was it when I was saying it? Yeah, I think it was after the Overwatch stream. Next week I have a thing for work that is going to block my entire Thursday, even late into the night. So I am switching the Thursday stream for Wednesday. We're gonna do Tuesday and Wednesday. It's already in the schedule if I didn't mess it up. No, I did mess it up. I didn't set the the time right. Oh my god. I tried to set it before stream, but apparently I got a little bit ahead of myself. I set the day, but I didn't set the time proper. And now the extension is not loading. Good job. But yeah, the time is the same. It's just the days, alright? Edit the panel. There it is. I always forget to set the hour properly when I change days. I don't know why. There it is. All good. All good. Tuesday and Wednesday next week. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Why couldn't the other stories be that gripping? I mean, I think it also depends on how you feel about the topics that were tackled. Because, for example, I found Chihiro's story to be quite gripping as well, but obviously in a completely different sense. It really touched my heart a lot. So there's that. But I'm glad that at least there's one part of this novel that you actually find intense and interesting. So that's good. It's good. Oh, Beatrice. Oh, you're so cute. Oh my god, I'm melting. Oh, let me spam some hearts. Yeah. Yeah, and for the moment we still have 2 bots announcing when I'm streaming, so it's fine. It's all good. Okie dokes. I just saw the GIF that Marcus shared in Tea House. Good one. Good one. The bots are for Clinton. Alright. So you get notifications. Weren't you the one relying on the bots? Because you were the one also reporting that they were not working, so I assumed that you were relying on them and noticing when they weren't working. Yeah, the announcement bots. Now they're both working, and as I was saying in the beginning of stream, I don't know if you caught that part. I'm sure once I take one out, it's gonna start failing again. Like I can already imagine it. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. There you have it. You know what things are going to be like next week. For the moment, I am absolutely destroyed, so I'm gonna go rest. Thanks so much for hanging around, as usual. Government paperwork, that's alright. Government paperwork takes precedence. I wish you good luck with everything that you need to do, and I hope you set things in order and everything is calm and straightened out, and you don't need to worry about things anymore. Right, so I wish you all a happy Friday and a good weekend. Take care of yourselves, hydrate, eat good food, get out in the sun. Now that there's actual sun outside, get some of that really good vitamin D for yourselves, and I'll catch up with you again next Tuesday when we're gonna continue with Yuko's story. Bye byes, night nights. again, thanks so much for hanging around. It's always fun to have you guys with me. Stay safe.